Morning. It's August the 10th, and we're doing a little video update on our gardening. And these are our butternut squash we've got planted out in the front of our home. This is a South Anna variety, and they are very productive. You can see all these guys in here. We've got about 12 of them growing out here, and we planted these right in front of the house. The vines are starting to die out a little bit now, so it won't be long, and we'll probably be harvesting some of these. Show you, this is one of the smaller ones, but it's still nice. And then here's our sweet potatoes that we planted early in the season, and I think I'm going to have to get in here and cut some of these vines back because they're starting to grow way out in the driveway now. And I think there's like 12 plants down through there a foot apart. It's 12 foot long, and it's reaching the soffit of the home. And here's our little container lettuces. We do a lot of lettuces in containers because we can move them around during the day so the sun's not so hot on them and it won't make them bolt. There's a little thyme. But this is our third planting of our lettuces, and we'll run these out, and probably in another 3-4 weeks we're going to plant some more leaf lettuce in containers so we can keep it out of the sun and won't stand a chance of it bolting. Here's our butternut squash we planted right here in front of the truck at the end of the driveway. It's a late bloomer. We've had a lot of male flowers, but we're just now starting to get some butternuts hanging on it. It's doing pretty good. You can see that in there. Here, if you follow the channel, we've got the videos where we planted. These are Sarpo mirror potatoes, and we put them in these containers. And you can see these things are getting on up to 4 feet tall, and I've had to put the string on them to keep them from falling down into the chia we planted here. They're just so heavy with vegetation. And we've got them in 3 containers. You can see the 3 containers there. We've got the videos in the playlist of us planting these. And this is chia. It's a cover crop we're growing. We had 4 rows of potatoes here that we harvested the potatoes, and then we planted the chia to try to get a cover crop in here, because we're going to plant our tomatoes and our giant Marconi peppers over here again next year, and we're trying to get the soil ready for that. And here's some volunteer tomato plants after we lost our other tomato plants through the hailstorm. A friend of ours brought us 3 different varieties, and you can see these are nice looking little, beautiful little clustered tomatoes. I'm not exactly sure what they are, but I'll try to save some seeds out of these and grow them again next year. You can see there, little guys. And here is our yard swing that we planted another butternut squash on. I have the video in the playlist of this guy. There again, this is another South Anna butternut squash, and we're using this, it was a broken yard swing, set it to curb. I took the seat off of it that was broke and used the frame as an arbor. I just put 2 stakes in there and a couple of stakes across it, and now I can wrap these vines around this garden swing, and you can't even hardly see the swing now. It's so full. And we're getting some butternuts forming up in there too. Let's see if I can get the camera in there on there. You can see that little guy up there. And we're gonna have them hanging and see how they do there. So that's coming out really nice. Like I say, it's filled up, and I come out here every morning and wrap the vines around the swing and the stakes, and to keep them off the ground from growing all up in there. And here's some, when we lost our Halcinator tomatoes, I went ahead and planted another round of them, and you can see how nice these guys are getting. These are a beautiful tomato plant. They're short, thick, and stocky, and they produce, you can just look at all those tomatoes in there. Nice, big, heavy slicing tomatoes, and they're a determinate variety, so when these guys finish up, it won't grow all year like an indeterminate variety, and we're not having half as many problems as we've had out of the indeterminate varieties we grow. So they're doing great. Here's our fall carrot planting box that we planted some carrots in a video for fall harvest. We'll get them this fall. They're doing pretty good. I need to get in there and thin some of them out. But there's another shot of that arbor, or that garden swing. Man, that's working great. Blueberries, they're finished up, produced all their blueberries, and we fertilized them up for the fall. Here's another halcinator in a container we had some potatoes planted in, and here again you can see all the tomatoes these plants put on. I highly recommend this variety. If you've having troubles growing indeterminate varieties, try a red snapper or halcinator from Hall's Tools. You can get them online. And there's our sunflower. A friend of ours gave us some sunflower seeds. Gave to my wife, and I started a couple of them, and this guy's reaching, it's over 12 foot tall now. I'm gonna have to get a ladder and add probably another stake to that. I've drove a stake in the ground here, and then I had to screw on another stake, and it's even grown past that. So hopefully it'll stop growing vertical and start producing this flowering head you can see at the top now. I don't want it getting up into the power line. It shouldn't continue to grow taller now that it's starting to flower, and I've been adding some flowering fertilizer to try to help it produce the flower and not so much growing. So here are some more of our halcinator plants. These are halcinator or red snappers. I can't remember what we planted here, but these are plants after we lost our other ones. We went ahead and planted some more, and they're, like I say, they're a short, stocky, bushy plant, and they produce a lot of tomatoes on a short, small plant. These things are only like 3 feet tall, but let me see if I can get you down in there. You can just see all the tomatoes on these guys. And here's our second planting of Yukon Golds for fall harvest, and we'll use these potatoes as our seed potatoes for next year. We plant a crop early in the season. We harvest those and we can them. We've canned about 24 quarts of potatoes so far, and we've got more to can. And then we'll get our second harvest of Yukon Golds that'll come down probably in September, October, and then we'll take those and store them and use them as seed potatoes for next year. We harvested beets earlier out of this barbecue grill planter box we made. And we planted a few more in there, but only a couple come up. So we're going to call it done for the beets for this year. We got a few more over there under the tomatoes. Here's another halcinator tomato plant grown in a cooler. And you can just see all the tomatoes, man. I'm highly impressed with this variety. It's just loaded, and we're getting a lot of tomatoes on a small plant. I've grown these indeterminate varieties, and you get a lot of plant for just not many tomatoes off of them. And this is exactly the opposite, and that's what we were after. Here's where we had our beans that took a hit in the storm, but we left them, our pole beans, and we've harvested all of those. I think we've canned like 35 pints of beans out of these 2 little 6-foot rows. And then here's our yellow bean. I just put up a video a couple of days ago about the yellow beans, how pretty they were on these plants, and my wife come out here and picked them, and now we're already starting to get more yellow beans in there and more flowers. This is where early in the season we had our giant Marconi pepper plants, and they just didn't do well this year. We have good years and bad years, and We lost all of the pepper plants through the hailstorm too. All 4 of these boxes we had 2 boxes of tomato plants and 2 boxes of peppers, and the hailstorm got all of them, so we had to start over. But we yanked out the plants and we planted some more Yukon Gold potatoes in these boxes. And with the lower pH we have in these boxes, it seems to work well for potatoes. Here's another planting of beans. These are, I believe they're from Burpee. I know that. I think they're, Bush Blue Lake 274. They're supposed to be a bush bean, but you can see they're growing more like a pole bean. So I'm impressed with the lush vegetation, but I'm not impressed that it grows. I was trying to avoid building another arbor. That's why we went with the bush bean variety, but it turned out that these guys are more pole bean than bush bean. And here's the only little halcinator left that we have planted up under the house. I've had videos where we've harvested off of this guy. They were nice, big, slicing tomatoes. This doesn't get a lot of sun. It probably only gets like 3 hours of sun in the morning, and then the sun's off of it, but it's still producing, still doing well. Here's the other 2 boxes of Yukon Golds that we planted. This is where our tomatoes were early in the season. We pulled those plants and we planted these Yukon Golds, and I think I'm going to have to add another string on these guys because now they're growing pretty tall, just like the Sarpomiras on the other side. Here's our second row of sweet potatoes. They're grown on a cattle panel trellis to try to keep them off the ground so we don't walk on them when we're trying to get through here, but they're doing great. Not quite as good as on the other side, but these are doing pretty good. And here's our second butternut, South Anna butternut we had to plant here. We had a beautiful plant, nicer looking than the ones in the front, but the hailstorm come through here and beat all the leaves off of it, so we yanked that plant out. We put another one in here, and it's doing really nice. And here's some carrots that we planted in this container. They're doing really nice. This is half of a 55-gallon barrel. These were water barrels, food grade barrels that we got from a friend of ours, and we cut them in half and we use them as planters, so they work great. Here's our chili pepper. I just did a video a few days ago on our chili pepper. We harvested a lot of these chili peppers, and now it's just full of chili peppers again. I'm gonna have to get in here and get more of these out. We're dehydrating them now. They should be done today, and I'll make a video on how we make chili powder out of them. And here's our last little container carrots. These are only in like 2-gallon pots, so if you're restricted on space, get you some pots and plant your carrots. I've grown potatoes in pots this small and produce small little harvest. Carrots do great in small containers, and if you're limited on space, that's the way to go for you. So just a little garden update. Everything with the rains we're getting. We went from a dry spell to monsoons. 2 days ago, we got 2 inches of rain in one single day. So it's helping us out. I don't have to water, and things are looking good. And we'll keep you updated as we start harvesting some of this stuff. Lord willing, it makes it. If you like the content of the channel, give us a thumbs up. Like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.